Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. We strive on this channel to get you ready. There's all kinds of possibilities looming. Gas prices going up, war, economic collapse, the list goes on and on. So here are 7 things that you need to do right now before any of that takes place, because it's not too late, but we're getting close. Number 1, get in shape. I talk about this all the time, as Ashley and I strive to get in shape and working on family doing the same thing too. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to join martial arts like we do. We love martial arts as a family, but you need to do something. I know that 70% of Americans are obese. Maybe you're in that category. Not a problem, because you can actually turn that around. We do it with keto, but there's many options that actually may work really well for you. The thing is, it's not too late to get in shape. It never is. And if crap does hit the fan, we're looking at a situation where if you are in where you can't get around, then you're going to have to try to find something to do to get in better shape. Because like for us, living on a homestead, it blew my mind how much energy and toll it takes from us really doing everything we can to try to survive out here. Even just planting things in our garden takes a lot of energy. So this is your time. Get in shape. Try to do a little muscle building if you can. Doesn't have to be much, but work on it. Have some mobility. Just go for walks. Go swimming if you can. And if you are overweight, try to do what you can to try to lose that weight, because it is essential and vital as these things press on. Number 2, run drills. And we are big on this in our family as well, because when things happen very drastically, by the way, your cerebral cortex, here's a quick medical lesson, that's actually the area of your brain that actually looks for problem solving. And like in martial arts, I'm used to punching in a certain way, for example, and that's because I've practiced it over and over and over again. So that way, if I ever get into a situation where I need to, I don't even have to think about it, but the punch will actually just kick in, or doing blocks or, defenses, whatever you need to do. But the problem is if you don't drill, then your corpus callosum gets kind of stuck, and that's where people freeze. And when that happens in those dangerous situations, that's typically what will kill you. Okay, this happens all the time. All kinds of emergency situations, you freeze, and then you're not able to act quickly. So what you need to do is run drills. Run drills in your home. If you're by yourself, do it. I know it sounds kind of corny and kind of weird, but still do it, especially if you have a family, and even more so, especially if you have kids. Run every kind of drill. We run drills for if there's an intruder. We run drills if somebody just knocks on the door, by the way. That's what we do. We do fire drills. We do medical drills. We do situations where if the dogs run to the window because somebody's actually coming toward the house, the list goes on and on and on. And we actually have keywords we'll use to try to make it so the kids can react very quickly and go to safe locations in the house, or whatever the case may be, if need be. So you need to run drills. You need to design the drills for what's happening for your house and your family and your needs. And you need to practice, because if you don't practice, and that situation does arise, you will freeze. And that literally could take your life. Number 3, get with neighbors. I also stress all the time, we must have a community. You must have a community. Even if you love to be by yourself. We have some introverted kids in our family, and they love just being there by themselves, and that's fine. But still get with your neighbors and say, listen, if crap hits the fan, I got your back. Or at least just go over and say, hey, neighbor, my name is such and such, and I just wanted to say hi. Because when people start getting scared and crap hits the fan, in those situations, knowing just for the fact that you have a neighbor across the street who says hi all the time already gives you a little bit of sense of, phew, at least there's somebody on my side. So get with your community, but go well beyond that. Put flyers at your local gun store or your local sporting goods store that you actually you want to meet up with other preppers. You'll be amazed how many preppers are literally already in your neighborhood or area and would love to actually start meeting once a month, twice a month, whatever the case may be, even practicing stuff, going over demonstrations of gear, swapping stuff. That's always fun too. So do it now, because when crap hits the fan, those neighbors will not look at you necessarily as somebody that's on their side. Number 4, practice with your gear. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to gear. Tech stuff, I love it. I really do. I mean, especially when it comes to prepping or backpacking, camping, etc. Some of that gear gets really expensive. And I'm not saying you shouldn't buy it. In certain circumstances, some of that gear could really save your life. But I really want to stress to you that unless you practice with the gear, you're going to be in big trouble. What we do as a family, we used to be really avid backpackers and campers. We did it all the time. Now we just mostly during the summer here and there, we'll go backpacking or camping. And I love taking that time to practice the gear. And I find many times, often, by the way, that we'll get out there with a piece of gear and realize that, oh, this doesn't work very well. Or maybe, oh, I was supposed to have this other part to make it work. Whatever the case may be, this one actually worked great. And so if you actually practice with it and go out with it, It's going to prepare you, even if you just try it once or twice, it's going to prepare you. So when crap hits the fan, your stress levels will already be less because you already know you're prepared for this. But if you don't try that gear, if you don't practice with it, we're talking about firearms too, by the way, you need to always make sure you have your practice. That way practice makes perfect. And in those situations, you'll be able to go out and in confidence say, I can actually do this. But if you don't, you're going to find out the hard way that gear may not be all it's cracked up to be, or if you don't know how to use it, you're going to be just as lost as somebody who doesn't have that gear at all. So make sure you practice with your gear. Number 5, develop situational awareness. I didn't really put these in any specific order, but I will tell you situational awareness may actually be your number one thing you need to work on. But this is not as easy as like just buying a piece of gear, mind you, because you buy a piece of gear, you try it out, you work it. Even if you're not great at it, you can usually make it work. Situational awareness takes a long time to develop as far as the skill goes, to always watch around you. Always watch around you. And as we walk around as a family, let's say we're at a store, I am surveying and looking at every single person in the store, walking through every single person, watching the situations, watching their demeanor. Or is their heart racing? They're looking around too, because you'll find most people are just looking straight forward, look at their pack of Oreos, looking at their phone, and they're kind of oblivious to how life is going around them right now. But occasionally you come across somebody who's kind of like edgy and antsy and they're looking around. That's a good sign that that person is actually either worried about something or is up to something. There's been many times I've told my wife, Ashley, or my kids, hey guys, we need to come over here and walk this way. And there's been situations where those same people I told them to stay away from led to an event where police had to be called. A few times this has happened. This is not simply just in a store though. This should be for everything. Even at our house, we have situational awareness. We're way out in the middle of nowhere, but a car going down our road, they think it's the Indy 500. They're doing like 85 miles an hour sometimes, the rare car that goes down our road. But it's not the fast ones we're worried about. As a whole family, we'll be outside doing something, and here comes a car going really slow. It's funny, the whole family will freeze and watch this car. What's going on? Why are they going slow? And that's actually something that could be a threat, because maybe they're surveying the property, maybe there's some creepo surveying the kids, or maybe it's simply just going out for a nice slow drive, which is often the case. But if you're not aware of the whole situation, you may not know the difference, and you will be caught off guard. Number 6, build your fortress. I always am a big proponent for bugging in, as they say, or sheltering in place. And I'm not saying you shouldn't bug out if you have to. If your life depends on it, then go. But in most cases, I think you'll find your life will not depend on it. And sheltering in place, being inside your fortress, is such a huge thing. So really develop your skills in fortifying your fortress, first of all. Making it so you can actually like block doors. Putting something like a bookcase in front of a door is not going to block it, by the way. What you need to do is put in a piece of furniture, so that way furniture hits another wall, so that way there's no way if they try to open the door, it's actually going to push back, and because that wall is not going to give. There's lots of techniques like that. You need to look at windows. You need to look at all entry points. You need to look at escape routes. You need to continue to make sure your fortress is ready to go. And if you do have weapons, put them in strategic places. What would give you the best cover if somebody does break in? What can you do if somebody comes to the front door? Do you have an exit route? Do you have an alternate plan? Do you actually have a safe place in your home you can go to? Those are just a few of many questions you need to answer to be ready for your home, to make sure your fortress is ready in case that crap hits the fan. Because your home literally may be in a situation where people will come in to try to take your food and such, and you need to be able to either protect it or protect your family. Be ready for those things, because your home is your fortress, and unfortunately a lot of us can't afford those moats to go around it, so it's up to you to be able to protect it. Number 7, live with no technology. This is probably my favorite one, mind you, because when it comes to technology, I love technology, and I love my solar generator, and I love all the cool gadgets, as I mentioned, but if we're looking at like a power grid down for a long-term situation, which is a possibility, mind you, even a probability the way you look at it, we have to be able to survive. And having the technology at least severely diminished is a very real possibility. I mean, if you have a solar generator, you might be able to keep your freezer going. You might be able to actually have a few lights going. But all these things we take advantage of and enjoy as far as technology may disappear. So what you need to do, and here's a goal I want you to set for this summer, maybe even this spring if you can. I want you to have all your gear ready, and I want you to go to your breaker panel and shut off the breaker panel for a week. I want to see how well you'll do. How will you fare? In our house up here in the middle of nowhere, we lose power all the time for days, if not weeks on end. I'm not kidding you. And it's something that we basically had to be pushed into that situation to be ready for. It wasn't something we could simply shut off the breaker, but the power company did it for us. because their power lines are always getting knocked down by trees and stuff being out in the middle of the country. So I want you to take that giant breaker on your breaker panel, the very top ones, and just turn it off and see how you fare. I mean, you might want to just try it for a few hours. See how it works for you. Try a few days. Can you do it for a week? How about 2 weeks? And in a lot of people's situation, they may actually still have water coming in because, of course, water being on like a town water, for example, will still keep going. That's a big bonus. But you might want to consider actually having your water not used also. Just simply don't use the water. All those things will really open your eyes. And again, will give you a lot of practice with your gear as well. But there's your 7 things you need to do now, because our country, the country you live in, our world, we're heading down a path right now that eerily is similar to the Great Depression and going into World War II. And we can't simply just depend on all these things working well for us. We need to be ready. We need to be prepared. And that's why we have Goshen Prepping. So go through those 7 things you need to do now so you're ready for all situations. Thank you for watching.